Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Think Future. My name is Calabucas, and once again, we're coming at you live from deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, California. We're talking innovation startups of the future, not necessarily those, and not necessarily in that order. If you're watching on YouTube, smack that subscribe button and hit that bell so you get notified when a new show comes up. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast service, please subscribe and drop us a review on Apple Podcast. I'd greatly appreciate it. So, the 1920s, what were they called? The Roaring Twenties? And each decade had a different name, right? I mean, there were all these decades and they all had different names. And somebody, I think it was the New York Times, wanted to take these 20s, the 20s that we're in right now, and say, let's call these the Roaring Twenties, because it's the future, it's new, it's great, it's different, it's amazing, it's fantastic. The Roaring Twenties. But I don't think that's the right term. I don't think that's the right term for the 20s. I think the term for the 20s is fear. I think the term for the 20s should be all about fear, because that's basically where we are at right now. We are living in fear. We are living in fear of change. We are living in fear for our lives. We are living in fear for the future. We are living in fear in almost all capacities. Almost all capacities. Of course, so maybe we should call these the fearsome 20s or the scary 20s, because it's all about fear, isn't it? It's all about fear. It's all about cowering in fear. It's not all about standing up to the future and building the future that we want, about bringing in disruptive innovation and changing the world. No, it's all about cowering in fear against these things, not trying to defeat these things, not trying to sort of raise the human race up above where we were before, evolve to a better, more hopeful place. No, we're just talking about fear. We're talking about the past. We're talking about turning things around in the opposite direction and going backwards instead of going forwards. Now, we can't go backwards. There's no way we can go backwards. The past is the past. The past is done. In fact, as I was mentioning earlier, we can ignore the past if we want to. Now, there's some lessons that we shouldn't ignore, obviously, but the past, should the past determine our future? The past will only determine our future if we allow the past to determine our future. If we want to have a better future, we can just decide to have a better future. We don't have to allow the past to tie us down into the patterns that we've been stuck in. And I talked about this before when I was talking about the differences between teleology and ideology. Ideology goes back and says, I'm the way I am because of the way I was. Teleology is, what task do I want to perform? What is the next thing I want to do? And how can I change to get to that goal? And I think we need to look in that direction more. I think we need to look at the future of the human race and go, where do we want to go? What do we want to be? And how to move towards that future, instead of constantly looking back at the past and going, that's horrible. We have a horrible past, and the horrible past doesn't have to come to today, because everything is different. The past is an old reality. It's an alternative reality, which we no longer live in. The only thing we can do is influence the future. And for some of us, influencing the future just means regurgitating the past. And I think that this is such a waste of time, such a waste of effort to go back into the past and say, let's right the wrongs of the past. I say, forget the wrongs of the past and move into the future. Create a better life for all human beings. Do something good for everyone. That should be our focus. That should be where we're going. Instead of separating everyone, instead of dividing everyone into this group and that group and pitting us against each other in pointless battles or pointed battles. Wouldn't it be better if we were all running in the same direction? I mean, there's fires coming at us. Shouldn't we just put down our arms and say, listen, brother, sister, let's all run in the same direction towards the improvement of the human race? Why should we get stuck into these petty squabbles between these fictional groups when we're all human beings? And we all should be wanting to build a better future. So maybe that's what we should call this decade, the scary 20s, because we're so afraid of everything that's around us. But I say to you, we need to conquer that fear. We need to get past that fear. We need to look around and say, we are better than this. We are stronger than this. We can get beyond this. And once we can say that we do this, we can say that we can get beyond this, then we can work towards getting beyond this. And we can work towards getting beyond this together instead of all fighting amongst ourselves. Let's link arms. Together, improve the human race instead of having us fight against each other all the time. How does that help us when we're constantly fighting? We need to rise above that. We need to go beyond that. We need to look towards the future and the improvement for everyone. Once we do that, then there's nothing that can stop us. That's it for me for today. See you next time, and until then, don't forget to think future.